Joining JAM was one of the most life changing experiences that I had in the recent months. Right from the independence, the staying away from family, or a lot of new friends, everything was new. One such prominent change was the food. Me being a Goan and not getting a fish curry every day, it's a complete no no. But I had to adjust. Among all this food, the most delicious part that I felt was, of course, the dessert. Gulab jamun, jalebi, kheer, you just name it. As the days passed, the food became repetitive, but the only silver lining was the dessert. Things grew to such an extent then that at a point of time I just quit rice and replaced it with the dessert, especially the kheer. My friends repeatedly told me not to do so. They told me that replacing rice with kheer is a complete no-no. You can't do it. It won't give you proper nutrients. But I didn't care much. Besides, what I felt was having this much kheer compared to this much rice would help my waistline. Things continued. Things continued until one fine day, Professor Andy. For that assignment, what we had to do is choose one of the films out of the three and make a video on it. That day, I chose That Sugar film. In this film, or documentary, shall we say, the protagonist embarks on a journey for 60 days on a very high sugar diet. He travels to countries like Australia, US to find out the ill effects that the sugar has caused on human beings. He travels around the world to find out whether refined sugar and fructose are changing human lives for the worse. Despite having the same number of calories in his diet as previously, this guy, our protagonist, gained actually 10 centimeter in waist, 8.5 kgs overall. There is one chemical called as ALT that actually describes the health of our liver. Previously, this guy had 0.08 level of that chemical. After the diet, it was 1.5. His liver was close to cirrhosis. He was actually very close to diabetes. This entire video shows that not only how much calories that we intake matters, but also it matters from where we take that calories. This video was an intense experience for me as such. For the past 2 weeks, I have completely cut down on sugar in tea, as well as I have reduced the desserts in cafeteria. I am hopeful about the future. I hope that I will be able to cut down on my sugar consumption. The first reports of sugar came from New Guinea in 8000 BC. Then, via trader migration routes, the cane made its way in India. In the 12th century, sugar arrived in Europe. Due to its rarity, it quickly became a status symbol for royalty. At the start of the 20th century, sugar was still seen as a treat. But then, in 1955, an event occurred that significantly influenced the amount of sugar we eat today. On September 23rd, 1955, the US President Dwight Eisenhower suffered a heart attack, and the issue of heart disease was thrust into the public domain. Two strong theories emerged. One, led by American scientist named Ansel Keys, who declared that fat was the problem, while a British doctor named John Yadkin believed sugar was to blame. Over the next 2 decades, the discussion brought fierce arguments from both camps. Later, a number of diseases were linked to the sugar. Sugar companies knew that if anyone ever linked sugar to these diseases, they were dead. The Sugar Association of United States launched a campaign to ensure their product wasn't vilified. In this case, what the sugar industry did is they stepped in and said the evidence was ambiguous. the Sugar Association of United States launched a campaign to ensure their product wasn't vilified. In this case, what the sugar industry did is they stepped in and said the evidence was ambiguous. Sugar Association paid scientists, hired a PR company, and released a report that sugar was not the culprit. It is the diet of man. This report was then used by the government to determine its findings. Sugar was exonerated and the rest of the world followed suit. By the end of 1970s, Ansel Keys had won out. Fat became the villain. Over the years, we have institutionalized this idea that a low-fat diet is a healthy diet. Sugar companies have always known that adding sweetness can make anything palatable. The food companies are not only targeting a primal desire for sugar, but are also insisting that all the calories are equal, which is totally untrue. The reduction in taste due to removal of fat was taken care by use of sugar. Today, sugar's global trade is worth $50 billion. Sugar companies pay scientists to do the studies that favor industry position, paying money to professional organizations like heart-related and cancer-related organizations, putting out deceptive statements in the press. During the 1970s, when the scientists were at crossroads whether to go with sugar or fat, it was crucial that an important decision was made. Excessive lobbying thwarted that opportunity. Since then, business ethics are repeatedly violated. They always have been.